All right, hey guys, I am here today with Haley Helveston once again. She was on here, I think it was like a month or two ago we talked. So why don't you just introduce yourself, Haley, and tell everybody what you do?
I'm Haley Helveston. I'm a sexuality empowerment coach, and I'm all about empowering women to have healthier, happy relationships.
All right, and you're based in Atlanta, Georgia, right?
Yes,
Cool. So how did you get into this kind of work? Like what brought you to
yes,
working with sexuality?
yes. Yeah, great question. So basically, I was a health coach, and I wasn't really that fulfilled in it. And I noticed that a lot of people really struggle in the relationship, sexuality area of their life, but no one really talks about it. And there's a lot of emotional eating. And so for me, I was dealing with my own struggles sexually. I wasn't able to have an orgasm. And I was working before health coaching, I was working a corporate job I didn't really like. And so I think that for me, the big thing was just, I was just really passionate about it and I loved learning about it.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. And
Mhm.
you keeping pretty busy with it
Yeah.
these days?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Hosting my first workshop. Yeah. If you're in Atlanta, yeah, come April 25th at 7 p.m. So super excited about it.
Awesome, awesome. So, are you finding that there's a lot of people reaching out to you about this kind of work? Because what I'm noticing is that there's just so many people getting in touch with their sexuality and learning that there's so much more to it than what they've been taught. Are you finding that as well?
Yes. Yes. And I also think that sometimes like our society is so repressed sexually that there's so much self-discovery, and there's so much we don't know, and especially about female sexuality, well, and male too, you're right, but it's like, where do you even begin? So I had a lady ask me yesterday, she's like, where do you even start? So that's kind of what a lot of people have been asking me recently.
Yeah, yeah. So I wanted to talk a little bit about uh, sort of the difference in achieving pleasure between men and women. So
Mhm.
I feel like our impression of sexuality is very skewed in favor of the men. Like typically, most men learn about porn, or sorry, most men learn about sex and sexuality through porn and movies and things like this. And it shows this very unrealistic view of sex that's very focused on the man's performance and his pleasure. So how can we tune into more getting in tune with the woman's pleasure, addressing her needs? How can men learn to really please their partners?
Yes. Okay, so the thing is like, I think that a lot of people define sex is just basically sex is, it ends when the guy comes. And that's such a very limited view of sex. And so, how can we start to look at it from, okay, well, what is sex from a female perspective? Sex is everything. Like, I hate the term foreplay because that's sex too.
Mhm.
And so, I think that for women, especially if you're watching this, well, and men, everybody needs to know this, that you need to start embracing all of it. Embrace the journey. Like a lot of women that I'm teaching recently, I'm just like, just enjoy all of it. A lot of women, especially, they're too goal oriented and they're too focused on the orgasm now because we're too masculine.
Mhm.
And so instead of being in the masculine energy, just really start to enjoy the journey and enjoy all of the sexual things you do instead of just focusing on when am I going to come? Because I've definitely done that. And then it's like this, like you don't even enjoy it. And I think that it's for man and woman.
Yes, that's so true. It's so goal oriented. It's like, okay, if you don't achieve this big, explosive orgasm, then you failed. And people invest themselves in that, and it causes it can cause stress and tension in that dynamic between partners when it's just all about that goal oriented approach.
Yes, definitely. And a lot of women, it's like if the guy is constantly asking, I mean, come on, you can't enjoy it? And so that's my number one thing for any guy that's asking, don't ask that question. It just ruins it.
Yeah, what I've discovered in my own sexual cultivation path is that it's really about opening to the entire act of whatever sexual experience is. It's about being present with every moment of it versus trying to reach this point, because then you're in the future. You're trying to, you're projecting ahead of the present moment. And then it's all over after, once you hit that orgasm, it's all over in 5 seconds anyway. So it's learning to tune into those deeper, subtle aspects of the sexual exchange and really enjoying every sensation that's happening and just being present with what's happening.
Yes, I agree with you. I think that a lot of women have a hard time because they're too in their heads. And so I
Definitely.
agree with you. It's about being fully present in the moment.
So how do women, well, and men as well, how do they start to uh, expand their boundaries of their sexual experience? How do you help people reach a deeper perspective of sex?
Mm-hmm. I go, my first thing would be to, if you're in a relationship, everything, like everything is affected and reflected in sex. And so my first thing would be to work on your relationship outside of bed. I mean, outside of your sex life. Because the thing is, if you're having all these issues where it's like low libido, the guy can't last, you're not having an orgasm, or maybe you're only able to have an orgasm by yourself, all of those are signs of your body, or painful sex. This is a common one.
Mm.
Okay, so, or you can't get wet. There's like, okay, so if you're dealing with all of that, just completely takes off sex off the table and just start going deeper with your partner of your emotional connection. Because I think a lot of people don't, I've noticed this recently and I forget about this because, you and I'm so open about all this. I forget that not everybody talks so openly like we do. I'm like, what? Not everybody talks about ejaculation at the dinner table?
Mhm.
Yeah, so basically I was talking with a guy about this the other day and I was like, oh, you don't talk to your partner about, and so that's the first thing, y'all, is just to be super open and throw everything on the table. Hey, what's your biggest fantasy? Hey, what do you like? Do you not like this? Because then when you get into and you start having sex, that's when I feel like a lot of people, especially like a lot of women, I've noticed like maybe you're not speaking up exactly for what you do and don't like, and you're just, so that's my
Yeah,
biggest.
I totally agree with that. It's like, and it's so common that people in relationships, couples, they're not really truly talking about their sexual needs and their true desires. It's like they're afraid to talk about these things sometimes. And I've experienced that in my past relationships. It's just like you don't really talk about it, but that's not healthy. You're not going to reach that higher state of harmony without just being open and communicative about it. So it's definitely so important in any relationship.
Yes, I agree with you. And I've definitely noticed that, me too, personally. Like, I remember dating someone where I didn't have an orgasm the whole time we were dating. And I remember being like, well, why didn't I communicate that to him and like actually say, hey, like, we need to figure this out, instead of me being like angry and annoyed, you know? So, but it's all about growing and, really being able to really work on yourself and grow on what you need. Instead of,
Definitely.
especially for a lot of women, like we're growing up expecting guys to be these sex gods and automatically know the woman's body. And it's just not the case. And it's such a stupid, belief.
Yeah, well, that brings us back to the point that most men don't know women's bodies at all. Uh, they just don't know what they're doing. Like I said, they learn about it through porn and movies, and they just try to just thrust robotically and assume that will do the trick. So what
Yes,
suggestions?
definitely. And I think that's so detrimental.
Yeah, what suggestions do you have for men to start to learn more about the woman's body and how to get in touch with that?
Yes. Okay. So, and I'm very on the same page with you about this too. I am not for porn. I'm really not. I mean, I know a lot of people in our industry are very like open about it and they're for it, but unless it's certain types of porn, I would say I'm not for it. And even then, I would say no. So for men, I would say if you really want to learn a woman's body, to just communicate and ask her what she likes. And but the problem is too, is like I run into women like yesterday, they don't even know their bodies,
Hmm.
and then she's embarrassed about it. And so for me, I would say just be really like, be a safe space. Cause I think a lot of women, obviously our society is getting better about this, but a lot of women, and me included, I've definitely dealt with this. They don't feel safe. And so
Yes.
if you don't feel safe, you're not going to have an orgasm. It's just not going to happen.
Mhm.
And so I would say be a safe space.
Yeah, it's a great suggestion. And so it's really the woman has to get to know her own body and then communicate with the man about what her needs are and her desires are.
Yes, definitely. And be able to communicate that without him getting, because I've dealt with this too in the past where the woman will say, like, I'll say, okay, you need to start communicating better in bed what you like. And he will freak out at her.
Mhm.
And so that's another thing, like for the guys watching, don't freak out if she's saying something. It's not a reflection of you at all. it's her saying, hey, let's try this or let's do that, you know?
Yeah, guys tend to have, this ego about their sexual performance, and statistically, 1 out of every 3 men do not last very long in bed and have, trouble lasting long. And I think these men often try to compensate for this in other ways, and so it's so important for men to. This is something I've been talking a lot about recently. Is men need to train to last longer. It's just like anything else. If you want to get better at it, you have to train yourself. You have to practice.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, and I think that is so amazing. I love everything you're doing, and I'm just so glad you're doing what you're doing because I agree with you. And I do think that it's very disappointing when that does happen for a woman because she's not even close. And it's disappointing too for both of them because they're missing that deeper place sexually they could go, but they'll never get there if he doesn't do the work.
Mm,
So,
definitely.
and then she learns her body. So, mhm.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's very important that men learn to, well, first of all, drop their attachment to ejaculation, because so many men are just working to get to that point of that explosive release. And when you drop your need for that, drop your obsession with that, then you can enjoy the rest of sex. And then you can learn to separate the orgasm from the ejaculation and last for much longer and be able to be a much more skilled lover.
Yes, definitely. And then every woman you're with is going to love you because that's very not common. So, mhm.
Well, we're diving deep into the sexual issues to help everyone out.
Yes, definitely. Yes, we want all of y'all to be happy because I'm serious. Like, and I've spoken about this. I'm sure you have too. That if people are being more fulfilled emotionally and sexually, divorce probably wouldn't exist.
I agree. I mean, I think that sexual frustration and sexual issues are the deep causes behind a lot of things in the world. A lot of conflicts and things like this. And that if we had a more harmonious uh, connection to our sexuality and our sexual power, then we would be much, much happier and balanced.
Oh yeah,
I just
especially for women. Think about how many women are going to wine or Xanax or whatever
mm,
instead of going to something that's healthy.
yes, totally. So there's just so many layers to this work and so many benefits to becoming sexually empowered. To me, it's the most powerful work anyone can do.
Oh yes, definitely. No, I agree with you. And even for me in my own sexual journey, I've noticed that it's the most, it's the one that has the most power and the most change, but also sometimes the most challenging.
Definitely. I would say the majority of people we are raised and we all encounter some sort of sexual block in our life. Like so many people have sexual traumas, sexual abuse is so common. So there's just so many unconscious patterns and sometimes traumas and blockages around our sexual nature. Are you finding that to be true as well?
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, think about it too. It's like the whole, like I'll meet women and I'm like, okay, you told me your sexual past a little bit. Have you noticed how you keep attracting certain types of men? Why is that?
Hmm.
But then a lot of it is so unconscious. And so I think that so many of our habits sexually are people aren't even aware of.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's really about having self-awareness. But I want to also say even deeper than self-awareness, it's wanting to go there because some people don't even want to go there.
Yeah. You have to have the drive to see these things clearly and to make that commitment to be able to work with yourself and not be afraid of these things.
Yes, definitely. Hmm.
So how do you typically work with people who are dealing with sexual traumas and deep sexual blockages? How do you kind of go about helping them out with these things?
Yes. Okay. So due to the fact that uh, like most women have sexual trauma, you can't really, yeah, you can't really get around that. So um, I would say recently it's dealing with the resistance towards their own pleasure. And I even dealt with that in my own life. It's like, okay, I'm resisting. Oh, why am I not allowing myself to have an orgasm or to feel pleasure here? What is that? Where am I also not allowing myself to receive? Could it be financially? Could it be wherever? And so that's what a lot of when I ask women is like, okay, let's go deeper with these questions, but then let's also set aside maybe, 30 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever you have a day in the morning or at night, a ritual where it's just only focused on you. Whether it's you self-pleasuring, whether it's you, maybe you're not even just self-pleasured. Maybe that's so intimidating to you. Maybe it's you just looking in the mirror and saying, I love you, just like really simple things. But I think a lot of women would really benefit from.
Mm. Everyone would. Men
Yeah,
too.
every woman, really. I mean, every man too. Yeah, totally. Yeah, because we're taught to hate our bodies. And so I think that, if every morning you wake up and you're like, I love you to yourself, that would really benefit yourself.
Yeah, definitely. We don't realize that this internal self-talk we have, most people are putting themselves down all day in their heads without even realizing it. So of course they're just sabotaging themselves and shutting themselves down from their highest potential.
Yeah, totally. And listen, I've been there, I know. And it's about really realizing that the voice in your head isn't even your thoughts.
Mm,
So,
true.
yeah, it's society's bullshit.
For sure. Well, we're doing our part to change it. So we're getting. So I'm curious, how did you get over your own blocks to experiencing orgasm?
Oh man. Okay, so it was really deep for me, to be honest. Like mine led me to a sexual. I don't know if I talked about this last time we did a video, but my getting over it was actually going to Costa Rica to do a sexual retreat. Did I tell you that?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that before.
Okay. Yeah.
But
I don't remember.
I'm definitely interested in hearing it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I forgot about if I told you or not. So yeah, so basically for me, the retreat was all about getting over sexual shame and guilt. And that's huge because I think that, I grew up religious. I dealt with a lot of that. It's almost automatically you have it passed down in your DNA. Yeah, really. You enjoy sex, shame, And so I think that, like when I was there was a couple that, she literally had never had an orgasm at all. And she was in her 60s, And so I think that for me, I was taking courses. I was working with a mentor. I quit drinking. I was like really looking into, my body. Like I was at the time last year, I was kind of dating someone and all of a sudden I was like, ooh, when I'm around this person, like when we experience sex, ooh, my body does not like that. And I'm ignoring that.
Yeah.
So I started to listen to my body and go, she doesn't like that, And so that's something huge that I would tell people if you're watching, start to listen to your body because our bodies are speaking to us.
Yes.
We're just ignoring it every day, So yeah, that was huge for me, was to do that. And then really getting in touch to, I had a vision after an experience in Costa Rica. And so I think that I'm still doing the deep work, but a lot for me has been the jade egg. It's been self-pleasure. It's been letting as much things go emotionally, energetically, physically. Like I moved, I got a new phone number. I'm getting rid of things physically. Like I don't know whether that's part of it or not, but it's just this whole spiritual journey of
transformation. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind
of, that's great.
Yeah.
And
spring.
I want to talk a little bit about men's blockage to really experiencing higher orgasm here. This is something I've kind of been looking into recently, is realizing that, like, as I said before, most men's sexual habits come from porn and watching porn, and it teaches them to experience the sexual experience completely from their genitals. Like it's just this, like, oh, okay, it's all happening right here. And this really limits their ability to experience a higher orgasm, potentially that full body orgasm, because they're shut down in their bodies and they're experiencing everything from their genitals. So like, okay, every time I orgasm, I have to ejaculate as well. That's the whole experience. So it shapes them to have this very limited orgasm, basically. So men as well need to learn to open up their bodies and open to a higher experience.
Yes, I'm so glad you brought that up too, because I was going to say something. Is that because so does that mean they don't feel anything in their heart at all?
Typically, men are very blocked off in their hearts. And if they
and
do
then
feel things, they shove them down. Sorry to interrupt you.
Wait. Sorry, so again, you said if they
Uh,
feel things, they shove it down?
they tend to just, yeah, shove it down. Like, nope, I'm not feeling that. That's not me. I've got to be a strong man.
Mm. Oh, man. I hate how our society does that to men because, yeah, that is very detrimental.
And this leads to
Um,
disconnecting relationships as well, because men are afraid to truly connect with their partner. So again, it's just that physical connection that they tend to focus on.
yeah, definitely. I think that that's, wow. Yeah. And I think that I've even noticed that too. I went through a period where I didn't feel, I think I've mentioned this before in a video. I don't know if I told you this, but I went through a period where I felt nothing here. Like
Mm,
not even in my breast. I was like, nothing. I feel nothing. This is weird. And so I think that was part of it too.
yeah. So it's so
Mm-hmm.
important. I always teach men to really get in touch with their bodies, start to feel within, see what's being held in there, and so that they can start to release it and experience a higher experience of life in general, but of course, a higher sexual experience as well.
Mm-hmm. And then does the microcosmic orbit help with opening up the heart?
Definitely, it's a point along the orbit. There's other practices that I teach that are more geared to opening the heart, but the microcosmic orbit can definitely help that as well.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Is that something you work with as
Yeah.
well?
Yes. Yeah. Hmm. But I noticed a lot of women too, or at least for me too, I was closed off in my sacral chakra.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so that's what I've noticed. Do you notice people are closed off in their sacral too? The men?
Um, it depends. I think sometimes or it's what I'm noticing with men is it's more of like a separation here. Like they're blocked.
Mm-hmm.
Their heads are open. Men are usually in their heads and in their genitals. Then everything in between is blocked.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
Do you
I
find
can see
that?
that.
Do you find that women are typically more connected to their bodies than men?
Oh, great question. I would say yes and no. Women, we are naturally more connected to our bodies. We're naturally in here, but our society teaches us to ignore it.
Mm, yeah.
Like, for example, I'm going to have a natural birth one day, and I already know I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And my family's like, no. And so I know it's like, it's this radical thing when really that's how women should be doing it, really. But, and I want a natural orgasmic holistic birth, you
Mm,
know.
yeah.
Um, but I think that it's the whole thing of not trusting your body. Because think about it. If women were truly in tune with their bodies, do you think we'd be on birth control? That's another control thing. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, yeah, I definitely agree with you. I would say yes and no, depending on who you're talking to. But I would say mostly we naturally are.
And it's something that one of my teachers talks about is how their sexual organs are inside their body, and so that naturally causes their sexual energy to more easily spread throughout their body and their internal organs, which is why
Mhm.
women typically tend to be easier to it's easier for them to achieve multiple orgasms than men, because yeah, their sexual organs are already wired into their body, whereas men, their penis is external, so it's kind of like outside of their body, so it feels a bit disconnected from the rest of their body.
Yes, definitely. So would you tell, okay, so the men that you work with, is it hard for them to start learning how to have multiple orgasms without ejaculation? Or once they get it, it's like, I've got it. Whoa.
It's different for every man. I think the hardest thing for men typically is just because you have to open up to it's a different type of orgasm. It's not as explosive, and in the beginning it's not as intense as the ejaculatory orgasm. It's very different. So like I said, most men are very disconnected from their bodies, so it can take a lot of work for men to really open up their centers. But that's why I teach so many foundational practices to really open up the body and start to feel the energy moving through the body. And once men are able to do that, they typically become multi-orgasmic fairly easily.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Yeah. Because I think that is so important too, because learning how to do that is very vital.
Yes, yes, definitely. Let's see, is there anything else you wanted to go over while we're talking right now?
I think we covered everything. I mean, I'm just all about, I think that everybody deserves to have amazing sex and amazing relationship. And I love what you're doing. And yeah, let's keep it up.
All right. And as I always say, you'll never reach your full potential in life without really consciously mastering your sexual energy, working with your sexual energy and harmonizing that. So why not start right now?
Yes, I love that. I love that you just said that. So powerful. Yes.
Yeah. So
hmm
anything else you want to share with people? So you're teaching your your workshop in a couple of weeks. Anything else?
Yes, so my workshop is on the 25th. I'm currently working on a workbook, so that should be done soon for women.
Awesome.
We will be doing a workshop. I'm already going to speak that into existence. We will be doing one soon.
Yeah, we'll do one of those
Yeah,
soon.
and hopefully I'll be doing one in LA at some point. And yeah, it's gonna be great.
Cool, fantastic. Well, I'll put your information in the link in the video below. So yeah, check out Haley's, check out her Instagram and all of her information. Check out her workshop. So thanks for joining me today, Haley.
Mhm.
It's been great talking with you again.
Thank you so much. Yes.